The ancient code, how these 12 questions forge unbreakable clarity and purpose in your life. We begin with a vivid scene. Picture yourself standing at a crossroads, the weight of indecision pressing down on your shoulders. In front of you are 12 ancient questions, each carved into towering stones. A soft light illuminates them as if beckoning you to come closer. What would you do? What if I told you that these questions, asked by philosophers, sages, and seekers throughout history, have the power to transform your life? They're not just riddles or thought experiments. They are keys to unlocking clarity, purpose, and resilience in a world drowning in distractions. But first, let's confront the chaos that surrounds us today. You wake up, check your phone, and instantly you're pulled into a vortex of notifications, demands, and comparisons. Anxiety builds as you scroll through curated lives, wondering why yours doesn't feel as perfect. You grind through the day, battling expectations, chasing fleeting validation, and collapsing into bed only to repeat the cycle. Does this sound familiar? Here's the truth we often avoid. Clarity isn't found by doing more. It's unearthed by questioning what truly matters. The 12 ancient questions are a map, guiding you to strip away illusions and focus on the essence of life. Let's journey together into these questions, one by one, as I share how they apply to modern life in ways you might never have imagined. The first question, who am I? Seems deceptively simple, doesn't it? But pause for a moment. Strip away your job title, your possessions, and even your relationships. What remains? When Socrates declared, "Know thyself," he wasn't asking for a resume. He was pointing toward the core of your existence. In modern life, we often confuse identity with roles. You might say, "I'm a parent, a manager, or an artist." But what happens when those roles shift or vanish? Many of us crumble because we've never built an identity beyond external markers. Let's consider a practical exercise. Write down 3 things that define you beyond your accomplishments. Is it your curiosity, your kindness, your resilience? Here's a challenge. Spend a week introducing yourself to others without mentioning your job or achievements. Instead, talk about what inspires you, what scares you, or what you're learning. How does it feel to remove the armor of external validation? The second question, what do I value most? Imagine your life as a house. Your values are its foundation. Without clarity on what you truly value, you'll keep rearranging the furniture while the walls crumble around you. Many of us live according to borrowed values, what society tells us we should prioritize, like success, beauty, or popularity. Take Marcus Aurelius, for example. As Emperor of Rome, he had access to every pleasure and power imaginable. Yet he wrote about the fleeting nature of these pursuits. He valued integrity, wisdom, and service above all. What about you? Write down your top 3 values and then ask, are you living in alignment with them? The third question, what am I avoiding? This one stings. We avoid things that make us uncomfortable, from difficult conversations to confronting our fears. But avoidance isn't freedom. It's a silent prison. By running from discomfort, we give it power over us. Let's talk about resilience here. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, wrote about preparing the mind for adversity. He practiced voluntary discomfort, like sleeping on the floor or fasting, to remind himself that he could endure hardship. Could you try something similar? Face one thing you've been avoiding this week. Perhaps it's a phone call, an apology, or even sitting quietly with your thoughts. Now, let's pause. These questions are already revealing cracks in the foundation of our daily lives, aren't they? But let's go deeper. The fourth question, what is within my control? This is the heart of Stoic philosophy. We suffer more from trying to control what we cannot than from the events themselves. Imagine you're stuck in traffic. You can't control the cars, but you can control your response. Will you stew in anger? Or will you use the time to listen to a podcast or reflect on your day? Here's a practical exercise. Make 2 lists. On 1, write what you can control, your actions. thoughts, and choices. On the other, write what you cannot, other people's opinions, the past, the weather. Tear up the second list. Feel the weight lift as you focus only on what you can change. The fifth question: what does this moment require of me? Life is a series of moments, each asking something of us. Sometimes it's courage, other times it's patience or compassion. The problem is, we're often too distracted to hear the question. Think of a time you reacted poorly to a situation. Maybe you snapped at someone or froze under pressure. Now ask yourself, what did that moment actually require? Could it have been kindness, humor, or simply a deep breath? Practice this in small ways before reacting. Pause and ask yourself what the moment calls for. The sixth question: what am I grateful for? Gratitude isn't just a feel-good buzzword. It's a powerful lens through which to view life. The Stoics believed in practicing gratitude not just for the good, but for the challenges that shape us. As Marcus Aurelius said, everything that happens as it should. Modern science backs this up. Studies show that gratitude rewires your brain, making you more resilient and less prone to anxiety. Try this each evening. Write down 3 things you're grateful for, big or small. Over time, notice how this shapes your outlook. Before we move to the next part, let me leave you with a profound question to ponder. If everything you've been chasing disappeared tomorrow, what would remain of you? Take a moment to sit with that. When you're ready, let's continue the journey. From questions to transformation, building resilience and purpose through timeless wisdom. Let's pick up where we left off, diving deeper into the power of these ancient questions. By now, you've likely started to feel the ripple effects of examining your life through these lenses. Each question peels back a layer, exposing truths we often hide from ourselves. But it's not enough to simply ask these questions. To transform, we must live the answers. The 7th question: what does it mean to live a good life? This is perhaps the most timeless question of all. Philosophers across the ages have wrestled with this. Is the good life one of pleasure, virtue, or something else entirely? The Epicureans believed in pursuing simple pleasures, free from pain and fear, while the Stoics focused on living in harmony with nature and reason. For us, this question requires a personal reckoning. Is your version of the good life dictated by societal expectations, or does it come from within? Imagine for a moment that you have all the wealth and success in the world. Would that be enough? Or would you crave something deeper, a sense of meaning, connection, and peace? Here's a practical exercise. Write your own eulogy. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but envisioning how you want to be remembered can illuminate what truly matters. Are you living in alignment with that vision? If not, what needs to change? The 8th question: what would I do if I weren't afraid? Fear is a double-edged sword. It protects us from danger, but also cages us when we let it dominate. How many dreams have you shelved because of fear? Fear of failure, rejection, or even success. The Stoics had a practice called premeditatio malorum, or imagining the worst-case scenario. They didn't do this to dwell on negativity, but to strip fear of its power. Let's try this together. Think of a fear holding you back. Now, ask, what's the worst that could happen? Could you survive it? Often, you'll find that the fear is far worse than the reality. Here's a challenge. Take one small step towards something you've been avoiding out of fear. Whether it's starting a conversation, learning a skill, or pursuing a passion, let courage guide you. The 9th question: what am I willing to struggle for? Anything worthwhile in life comes with struggle. Yet, we often want the rewards without the effort. We envy the fit body, the thriving relationship, or the successful career, but shy away from the sweat, discipline, and sacrifice they demand. The key here is choosing struggles that align with your values and purpose. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, obstacles aren't roadblocks, they're stepping stones. Ask yourself, what struggle feels meaningful to you? Maybe it's raising a family, building a business, or mastering a craft. Embrace the discomfort as a sign you're growing in the right direction. The 10th question: how do I respond to failure? Failure is a universal experience, yet how we respond to it defines us. Do you see failure as a dead end or a detour? The Stoics teach us to view failure as feedback, an opportunity to learn and improve. Thomas Edison, when asked about his many failed attempts at inventing the light bulb, famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." What if you adopted this mindset? Here's a practice. Reflect on a recent failure. Instead of blaming yourself or others, ask, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? Reframe failure as part of the process, not the end of the journey. The 11th question: how do I contribute to others? A meaningful life isn't just about personal success. It's about impact. What legacy are you building? How do your actions uplift those around you? Seneca wrote, "No man is an island." Our interconnectedness means that our choices ripple outward, affecting countless lives. Think of a moment when someone's kindness, wisdom, or generosity changed your day or your life. How can you be that person for someone else? Challenge yourself to perform one act of kindness daily. Could be as simple as listening without judgment, helping a stranger, or expressing gratitude to someone you often overlook. These small acts create a profound sense of purpose. The 12th question: what is my relationship with time? Time is our most precious resource, yet we squander it as if we have an endless supply. How often do we procrastinate, numbing ourselves with distractions while the clock ticks on? The Stoics viewed time as sacred. Epictetus urged us to remember, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This isn't a morbid thought, but a call to live fully and intentionally. Take stock of how you spend your days. Are you investing time in what matters or merely filling it with noise? Here's an exercise. For 1 week, track your time like a budget. Notice where you're spending it wisely and where it leaks away. Then, redirect those hours toward what aligns with your values and goals. Now that we've explored these 12 questions, let's connect the dots. Each question challenges us to confront our assumptions, clarify our priorities, and take action. But the real magic happens when we weave them together into a framework for living. Imagine waking up each day with a sense of purpose, knowing that every choice aligns with your values. Picture yourself navigating challenges with grace because you've embraced what's within your control. Envision a life where fear doesn't dictate your path, failure fuels your growth, and time becomes your ally instead of your enemy. Here's one final question for you. If not now, when? Will you wait for a perfect moment to start living intentionally? Or will you take the first step today? The power of these ancient questions isn't in knowing them, it's in living them. The answers won't always be easy or immediate, but the journey is worth it. As we conclude, let me leave you with this thought. Clarity comes not from finding all the answers, but from asking the right questions. So, what will you ask yourself today?